Alright, I wanted to show this really quick because it matters. If you are bracing up against the vehicle, so let's see here, you basically crank up about right there. Because the idea here, guys, is finding an object to drive your gun against. So I can drive it against the spoiler wing of the back of this Toyota Sienna. So I crank hard, and I know what my hold, or well, in this case, my hold sideways are, and I've got a fair amount of stability here. Or if I'm just doing offhanded shooting like this, look at where my muzzle device is. Now this is a 13/7 drilled pin and welded, but if this were a 16, the muzzle device, meaning if this were a muzzle device on the end of a 16, the barrel would end up about right here, right by that window. So I'm not going to pull the trigger because I like my van, but I am going to show you this couple of photographs. This was at a class that I attended several years ago. The operator steps up. I want to say it was I believe the van was a Mariner. So the dude steps up to the panel back here and he presses his rifle forward. And we're hitting targets 100 yards away, right? So he pushes his body into the van for stability. And he goes, I think he goes, doom, doom. I think he got 2 shots. And I think it was either this window or this window. Absolutely, pow, there it is right there, disappeared. All from his muzzle flash. He didn't hit the window, his muzzle flash popped the window. So, while that sounds like all kinds of awesome, and frankly it is, shooting around glass is just, it's an interesting experience. But let's have a look at this from the standpoint of a real combat moment. You're shooting around a vehicle and this window shatters. Well, all of these little shards of glass, because this is factory tint. No, I'm sorry, this is aftermarket tint, so this would actually hold together. But if this were a factory tinted window, it could potentially have pieces of glass end up in your eyes, which is why wraparound glasses are a good idea. But if you didn't have wraparound glasses, if all you had was your, grab gun and go kind of a thing, you've now run the risk of getting something in your eye. How dumb would that be? To be slowed down or taken out of the fight because of something that got into your eye, because of something that you were doing that you weren't aware was going to cause that problem. That's why I'm doing these videos. I've experienced all this stuff, guys. I've experienced all of this stuff. Glass in the eyes, glass in your finger, so now you're like having to pull your trigger with another finger because you've got a cut or there's something like really bad in your finger. It gets ugly. So when you're bracing against objects, be aware of what it is you're bracing against, because it could cost you the shot. Like with these barriers, I have them staked in the ground with 3 pieces of rebar, 24 inches of rebar, and a good foot-ish of it is in the ground in 3 different positions. I can kind of, sort of, load this forward to get a little bit of an accurate hit. But with all honesty, there's too much of this going on because I don't have enough resistance to push against. But if this were a tree, like I showed you earlier, if this were a truly hard object, man, dude, you can ram into it. You can ram so hard on this flat right here of your rifle forward into it. You can even run your hand like you guys have seen me do around trees. You can wrap this around a tree and drive hard into that tree to get the shot that you want. But with all honesty, guys, you're always going to be better off taking the front of your rifle right here and just jamming it into a hard object and just really driving your body into it, and it stabilizes that gun so tight it allows you to go pop, pop, pop. In fact, I think I've got some video footage of me shooting from up top there at one of these targets down here, and it is just 1, 2, 3, and then I can start moving again. And if I remember correctly, I had actually run up to that position, jammed the gun into the tree, hit, and I want to say it was 60 yards, I think, with elevation, and then journeyed on. So this is something that I routinely practice out here, which is why I wanted to share this with you guys. There are so many techniques, so many things to learn with these guns, so many little nuances to pick up about running the AR-15 that I want to make sure that I'm giving you as much knowledge as I can. I'm trying to think in the urban environment. I mean, you're talking telephone poles, light posts, you know, the concrete light posts, aluminum light posts, parking bollards, those great big planters full of trees or flowers or whatever to keep people from going to certain areas. Those are called bollards. Or even the thin ones that are metal pipe backfilled with concrete driven into the ground. That's a bollard. There's so many great objects in the urban environment for you to drive a gun into. In this kind of environment, and there's all kinds of crap out here that you can drive a gun into, whether that be from a prone position, from a standing position, from a kneeling position. Once you start realizing that you don't have to maintain your rifle 12 and 6, that you can turn it at an angle and not miss. Remember, guys, Navy SEALs, when they're operating their rifles, you see them moving like this because they have to get around helmet, hearing pro, so they'll actually be moving with their rifles like this. They understand that inside of a fairly decent distance, you can still keep your gun at an angle and still get a good hit. So it's not that big of a deal, guys. They're the old school ways of shooting that rifle dead center 12 and 6, man, throw that out the window. The AR-15 is such a versatile weapon. It can do so many different things from so many different angles, flat out turning it on its side. Whether it be one side or the other is irrelevant. Turning it at angles, sometimes if you need to, even hanging the thing upside down. The gun will clear even shooting upside down. So, you know, guys, the sky's the limit on this stuff. It really boils down to getting out and training, putting in trigger time. That's really what matters. As always, I thank you guys for watching. God bless you all. Get those guns out in practice. Have a good one.